But I'm going to throw out a couple of disclaimers real quick. First and foremost, this is educational entertainment only. Information provided tonight is strictly my opinion, and those that are in the voice channel that are speaking, it is their opinion as well too. None of the things that we are talking about tonight, none of it should be construed or taken as financial advice. This again is educational entertainment only. So that's it. And as Hugh said, hell yeah, let's go and let's have some fun. So we're going to kind of leave it as an open forum for questions. Just as a brief background on me, because I know these questions will pop up. I've been trading for over 15 years. I've seen a ton of shit over 15 years from all types of markets. I know a lot of questions that folks ask is how long did it take me to get profitable? I think profitable was in the 3 to 5 year range. And that, by that, I mean, it was consistently profitable. Like everyone else, I took it on the chin pretty aggressively in my first few years. You always want to throw in the towel. But, practice makes perfect, and you just, stick with it. And I think one of the greatest things that I learned over the years is how to size and position myself to limit, exposure. I think we all want to get crazy in the beginning and throw everything we got at a trade and let it run. That is the worst decision you can make. That's just why I always say buy dips. But that's learned over time. I have a background in mergers, acquisitions, so I look at things sometimes from a different angle that I think some people do. And I think it's always important to look outside the box versus what's in front of you to understand, macro events and how they relate to micro events. By no means am I a perfect trader. Please, anyone that says they're a perfect trader and they don't make a miss, they're full of shit, and walk away from them. They're just selling a bag of what they call snake oil. This is a hard business to be in. We've had a fantastic run over the last 12 to 14 months, primarily due to COVID. This is a market that I have never seen in 15 years of trading. I'm embracing it just as much as everyone else. Understand this is far from normal, albeit, normal has kind of changed since COVID. And so we keep trading what I say is in front of us, and we'll make the best of it. So at this point, we have set up Trader Chat to go into, I wish I was in my 30s, man, Johnny Bravo, please, far from it. To go into slow mode so we can kind of taper back the speed of questions that come through. Hugh and Dan and I and PJ, we're just going to kind of have fun with this. So I'm going to try to get to as many folks as I can. If I can't understand, there's God knows how many people typing questions. Some of it might be repetitive. So please, if I don't get to your question and I might have answered it based on what someone else typed, don't be offended. Try to understand it from a more roundabout and kind of like top end global viewpoint, and we'll go from there. So the first one is Kamikaze, please, because he tagged me in his questions. Where do you generally find your news on mergers and such for companies before the open? So good question, Kamikaze. My news feed is specific. I get it through E-Trade, and I have other news feeds that I use that I pay enormous amounts of money to have to give me a little bit of an edge. I read filings, and one thing Hugh and I did early last year was we read filings to death, like inside and out. I take meticulous notes on companies. I know tickers. Like I said, I've been doing this for 15 years. Most of these companies they recycle the same shit that they PR year after year after year after year. And it's the same patterns in the market. It may not be the same percentage gains that we see, but it's definitely the same patterns and the same behaviors. As I think Zach says it best, stocks have personalities. Those personalities are based on their corporate structure and who runs those companies. And so what you'll see is if you see one CEO or CFO jump ship and they go to run another company, that behavior of the stock that they were with before now becomes the behavior of the new stock. And so again, different ticker same pattern. Are you guys still on? Anyone? Or am I the only one talking?
You're good. You're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Kung Pao. I use Trade Ideas. I used to get it for free through E-Trade, but E-Trade can suck it, and they yanked the the scanner away from us. So yeah, I used Trade Ideas. It's the same platform. It was just an older version of it, but I didn't pay for it for eons. Now I pay for it like everyone else.
Yo, Bob, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you kind of tell some of these people what you think is the best way to learn the personality of a stock aside from, or do you think it's just looking at a screen for a long period of time?
I think it's looking at a screen and understanding it, and it takes time. It's like driving a car. It's practice. So I don't know if you guys have seen. Has anyone seen the Tiger Woods documentary on HBO? It just came out, like part 1 and part 2. I just finished watching it over the weekend, and it goes into all the dirty, gossipy shit with Tiger and this and that. But I think the key takeaway for me was his obsessiveness around practice, and what that turned into was how he performed on his tournaments and how he became the best golfer in the world for year after year after year before he hurt his back. It's the same, Hugh. It's the same thing when I watch my screens and I watch the behavior of the stock. It's screen time, it's practice, it's dedication. I see things, I think, that other folks don't. Is it always correct? No. But I think, when you look at patterns and behavior, you can go back to FinViz, and it's a little bit more difficult now because COVID. If you look at every stock on FinViz, and I use FinViz religiously to kind of like filter through and kind of get some ideas and potentially what's going to happen, everything's up. Everything's super extended. But prior to these big ramp ups that we've had since October in a lot of the stocks, you could see the ebbs and the flows, how they would work from almost like a seasonality to each of the individual stocks. So you could kind of predict when their next upticks were going to occur, almost like an earnings run up to sometimes. But you could see, well, shit, this stock used to run up into this medical conference, or this stock would run up into this conference, or it would always run up into June for some apparent reason, and it wasn't earnings related. So you can really understand the behavior just by looking at the patterns in a chart. And if you have a good platform, you don't even have to rely on FinViz. Pull it out for 2 years on like a daily chart for 2 years. You can see the patterns on how these things behave. And it becomes real methodical and almost boring because you kind of start knocking them out of the park. And again, guys, they're not going to be like these big percentage gains, but shit, you do 20, 30% on some of these swings like that. Oh my God, dude. It's just, you build what I call as a book, and you're constantly cashing a check on these stocks week after week, month after month.
Oh yeah.
So how did my trading, this is from Bull Capital. Guys, I'm way behind. There's like 112 messages. So how did your trading style develop? Dude, it took just time. One thing I talked to Hugh about early last year, and I talked to a number of people in the room, and it's, again, more difficult now because the way charts are, but I love bottom charts. I love post-offering bottom charts. It's about the easiest things you can play out there. Biotechs are super simple because they have defined catalysts. And so what I figured was I got real good at playing those for swings. And so I really just, kept figuring it out. And when I thought I knew it, I realized I didn't know shit. And I had to, figure out even better, and kept that practice mentality. And so that's really my number one style is definitely the swing trade. I love the swing trade. Kind of like, hey, when they hit, yeah. We saw a couple hit today, like ADTX. Yeah, I apologize. It took, November till January. God help me, 2 months. And look, the shit went off today big time. And so those are the type of trades that I really, really specialize in. Define catalysts. We have an endpoint. Let's attack it. Timing is of the essence when to get into the trade. Am I perfect at that? No. But do I have enough foresight to see where it's going to go? Absolutely. I think PJ, you were trying to say something.
No, what I was just saying to your point was, and I think that goes to your first point about not going in on a stock. I mean, you talk about it a lot, but dips are 100% your friend. Your first entry shouldn't be where you think your average is going to be, or
Oh, God,
you shouldn't want that to be your average.
Nope. No, and that's the thing. Is like, and that's what Zach says, and PJ says it. Hugh's saying it now, guys. If we buy something and I'm hitting something because there's a news, something hits my news feed. Who cares if it goes up 20% on that first spike? It always comes back to a level. Let that level set up on, especially if it's the pre-market. You look at a 1 minute chart. Let it set up for a few minutes. You'll start to see it base a little bit, and then start dipping your toe into it. And then what you'll start seeing is what we call as an ABCD pattern. All throughout the day, you'll see an ABCD pattern build up on the 1 or 5 minute charts. And you just add and you scale into those dips. And if the dips fail, then you clip out. Again, I use the word mechanical. When it becomes mechanical to you and there's no emotion in it, and you literally, I know Gary's real good about this. Yeah, does it always work? No. Does it work like 85, 90% of the time? Yeah, kind of. It becomes so easy. And you just, it's like I joked around today. I think I said, oh, clicking buttons, making money. Well, that's what I meant. It just becomes mechanical without emotions. But learn to scale. Do not put in 100% of anything into an initial trade, please. If I had to go in an all one stock, which one would it be in the next 2 to 3 week range? 0. I never go in all in on one stock ever. God, no. Please.
I feel like anyone that wants to, or even feels the desire to go all in on one stock, is just looking to make money too quick. And I think that can be.
You're trading for the wrong reasons. Yeah. You're trading for the wrong reasons. Go to Las Vegas, go bet on red or black, or, you have better luck. I'll be pointedly honest. You'll have a 50-50 shot. And yeah, don't ever go all in. If you're that desperate for money and this is your only salvation to try to make it, go find a fucking job. Otherwise, you will fail at this. You have too much emotion tied into it. Yes, little Glock. It is Bob. I am talking. All right. Who or what has been your most influential piece of education besides time? Yeah, time, experience, screen time is obviously number one for me. I think number two, and it's really up there almost in a tie, is associating myself with people. It's not that they're like-minded, because if they're like-minded and everyone agrees on the same thing, you're going to fail. You have to have differing opinions in a respectful way. But if those people can bring new ideas to what you do in the market as a trader, and you can add more tools to your bag, then that for me is a hair below the screen time. And I stress a hair below. They're almost in the same category to me. So always associate yourself with positive people. Make sure that they don't agree with you 100% of the time. Be able to debate and understand different vantage points and different viewpoints, because the way that I see things may not be the way that someone else sees things, but how they see it might sharpen my tools that much better and make me more of an adept trader on a daily basis. Let's see. How many different accounts or platforms do you trade on? E-Trade and Fidelity. Accounts, I only have 2 that I actually really work off at an IRA and a trading account. How do you best utilize the trading floor for maximum learning? I have trying to understand the setups. Yeah, Rich, man. Again, I don't know how long you've been trading. It takes time. And I'll say this again. Find 1 to 2. Don't even go to 3. Find 1 to 2 setups and paper trade the shit out of them. And after you think you know them, realize that you still don't know shit. And keep practicing. And then start dipping your toe in with real money. And I mean micro money, and then build your confidence level up. It'll click when it clicks, but you can be overwhelmed by the amount of different styles that happen within Atlas, and there's other Discord rooms out there. You've got to pick 1 to 2 styles that work for you, and realize you're gonna have FOMO. We all have it. You're going to miss these big trades, and you're going to get pissed off and say, this isn't working for me. I'm sick of trying to figure out these 1 to 2 styles. trust me, everything's cyclical. It will come back to those styles that you're working on. Once you get good with those, then you can add a little bit more to your tool bag. What are the most common market manipulation tactics you've seen in L2? And this is from Mr. Gob. Yeah, dude. Dark pool being the number one of them. I fucking hate dark pool. Unless you have access as a market maker, you'll never see dark pool. And by dark pool is like, let's say, you think something's going to bust the level, and it's just like this never ending, like, let's say they're trying to bust $2.50, and there's like this never ending supply hitting 250, and yet it's only showing like 2,000 on the ask, and you're like, what the fuck, dude? Like 100,000 shares have moved through. Dude, that shit drives me bonkers, because it's dark pool and they're just unloading their shares, and you just really have no clue what they do, and then they can flush it backwards too. So it's not that it's a red flag for me. It just becomes, it's manipulative, and it becomes super frustrating. And there's really no one market maker that does it. I mean, you see a lot of that shit in the OTC stuff, and I don't trade OTC. But with the NASDAQ and, ARCA, NASDAQ Edge, it just depends who's in control of it. Like, and you really need to know from the market maker standpoint, who, if there was an offering, who did the offering? Like Maxim is fucking notorious for dark pools and manipulating. Because a lot of the times, like when they do these big offerings and Maxim's involved, the company doesn't own the warrants. The funds that buy the offering don't own the warrants. Fucking Maxim owns the warrants, and they control it, and they can just shit on these stocks nonstop until they get their money. It's really, for me, Maxim, when they're involved in the market maker stuff, is just, I try to steer clear of it as much as possible. How many Lambos do I have? 0. I have no Lambos. I'm sorry. A Range Rover, but no Lambos. Waiting on my stupid fucking Ford Bronco that will never show up, but no Lambos.
Someone asked in my... Oh, sorry if you have one.
No, go ahead. You're cool.
Someone asked in my Twitch chat, is there any other way aside from level 2 and volume to check for market manipulation?
I've always just seen it through there. I don't know, maybe PJ or someone else can offer something different. That's always been my jam. It's the easiest way for me to see it is on level 2.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, and what do you call it? I don't actually like the who I've been using is Centerpoint.
Yeah,
their level 2 is really sick. Yeah, their level 2 is much better than TD Ameritrade.
Yeah,
It's so much better. Ameritrade sucks.
And
Honestly, Trade Zero is not great. E-Trade's all right. Trade Station is awesome. Centerpoint is awesome. Yeah.
And you just pay more fees. The more fees you pay, the more access you get. So it's, and listen, no broker's perfect. Listen, guys, at the end of the day, when they're giving us the privilege to use their system and to trade through their clearing houses, and I think a lot of the times we come in with the mentality that they owe us something. The reality is they owe us nothing at the end of the day. Yeah. And so they're gonna scrub their data as much as they want to give their market makers. And if they're short a stock and they've lent out shares, they don't want to blow up. And so they're going to protect their house before they protect you. So always keep that in mind. We trade with what's in front of us, and we have to take advantage of it. But we're always at a disadvantage when it comes to our brokers. We're retail. We're not the big boys. What kind of scanner settings do I use to scalp or to swing? For swinging, I don't use scanners. That's more just research and understanding and looking at filings. And Hugh and I think we did a talk on that a while ago. It might be up there, but that's where the homework comes in on the filings and really just digging in and reading. And I always say get real good at reading filings. To scalp, I'm not a huge scalper. I'll be pointedly honest, I'm not great at it, so I try to steer clear of it. I like the momentum runs more than anything else, and that goes back into how to scale appropriately up or down. If that's considered scalping, okay, then whatever. But I think scalping is more like the penny, or anywhere from a penny to a nickel. That's not worth my time on moves, to be honest. That's just too much effort and it exhausts me. But my main scanner that I call Toto, that we joke around with, it's an accumulation scanner. I built it, I really have fine tuned it. That's my bread and butter. I like to catch accumulation before it happens. And sometimes, an accumulation is great to see because I'm in a swing and I can catch what they're trying to do to it, market maker. Other times I catch front loading on it. And, so you can ride some of the front loading. But, I use an aftermarket, pre-market, and an accumulation scanner. I try to keep it as simple as possible. Don't complicate things. Find 1 to 3 things that work for you and master the shit out of it, and you will be successful. Would you ever share a couple of pages of your notes from SEC filings so we can see how you approach them and what you look for? I don't even have to share notes, guys. I look for their cash position. I look for, do they have any offerings on the SEC website hiding out there? I look at corporate presentations, especially in the biotech universe and medical device. Look what events do they have coming up. And then also, if they've had past Catalyst events, where did they do the offering in relation to those events? Was it before or after the offering? Again, you understand the culture of the company and the behavior of the company, and as Zach says, the personality. That's a perfect way to do it. So filings, look at their Qs, look against how their most current corporate presentation is. Do the things that they say in one align with the other? If they do, great. If they don't, dude, red flags galore. Red flags galore. Hugh and I were crushing it in the beginning of COVID because we were digging through so many filings and so many corporate presentations. We saw so many charts that we love, but we caught so much bullshit. We were like, pass, pass, pass. And I would tell you probably 80% of those that we passed on ended up shit in the bed. And we're like, oh my God, thank God we didn't get into that. So Hugh and I were bouncing shit off of each other left and right. And the ones that were aligned, we crushed. It was fun. Like we were hitting them aggressively. All right. How do you scan for intraday runners? I have, like I said, accumulation scanner. And listen, guys, my other scanner is the room. I can't have eyes on every single ticker and everything that goes on. Like my scanner goes crazy during the day. Like it's annoying sometimes. I have to turn my system on mute. But my other scanner are the folks in the room, that I align with, and which is almost everyone in the room. And you bounce ideas in the room and shit.
With a scanner, whenever you find one like an accumulation scanner that works for you, I found it's kind of like a strategy in its own. You have to learn that scanner, and just like you, I've got my own version too. We've talked about it, and I kind of you learn which ones come up that are garbage and they come up a lot, or
right.
You kind of learn. It's all like everything in this game is experience based,
Yeah, and understand, guys, when my scanner is pinging and it pings all day, like PJ said, I've got it's not that it says, "Hey, buy me now." It doesn't flash like that. You've got to filter through the bullshit, and I watch for anomalies. I watch for random ticks on the scanner, random hits. And I write them down and then I pull them up and I drop a level 2 on them. I just want to see the money flow on level 2. Did we catch something? Did we catch a leak in news? Did we catch a front load? What's going on out there? Yeah. So again, screen time, experience, as PJ said. And once it clicks and you start getting used to it and you can see the momentum behind the scanner and the random hits that become real, and then you'll start seeing patterns to certain tickers. It's pretty neat when that light bulb goes off. Jeff, how to get over PDT? Baby steps, man. Baby steps. The market will always be here, but if you go too aggressive with too little experience, you won't be. And I promise you will blow up. So don't.
Every time.
Yeah. When you're starting a swing, how far out are you looking for the catalyst on average? Are you looking month, much longer? So that's a good question. So we'll use ADTX. Was I probably a little early on ADTX? Yeah, self-admitted I was early. I think, the CEO was fluffing up what was to come pretty good. And I probably bit on that bait a little bit too soon. It had a couple of good little pops prior to the run today. So it wasn't like it was a bad swing by any means. I mean, shit, if you held it, it made a crap ton today. But yeah, I think that time frame on what's too early and what's not, I think it also depends on how much capital you want to commit to that swing. So my account is my account. What's in my account is for me, and what I commit to a capital structure on that swing trade, I'm comfortable with. And again, if it dips backwards, I'm good to average down because I know I've done my homework on the swing to know what the catalyst moving forward is. I also know that for ADTX, they had done an offering. So I really wasn't worried about them dropping another one, even though it's in theory they could. But no, I mean, it's just really dependent upon you. From a run up, like a biotech kind of run up, I mean, I like looking at stuff maybe 6 weeks out. But again, it's just not saying, hey, there's a catalyst, let's jump into it because it's 6 weeks out. You got to know where they're at in their cash position. You got to know how they behaved on prior catalysts. You know, what's the reality of that catalyst hitting? Never, ever, ever hold into a PDUFA date. Oh my God, you will fucking blow up every single time. We sell into the event. We never hold through the event. Never hold through the fucking event. It's for me, that is a major rule breaker. Have I done it before? Yeah. Have I hit one before? For sure. Have I blown up on that trade before? Oh my God, countless times. So take it from me, from experience, play the run up into the event for the catalyst. Don't hold into the physical catalyst. Don't hold into that daily event. When no one has a crystal ball, you're not going to guess the top. You're not going to guess the bottom of a trade. We ride these waves that occur in between. You book your gains and you move on to the next one. That's survivability in trading. If you want to be Babe Ruth and hit a grand slam on every single trade, you won't be here tomorrow. You won't. It's all about singles and doubles. It's the best analogy I can give is the baseball one. Singles and doubles are longevity in this game, and you will make a long career of this and have a good life. All right. I don't know. Let's scroll backwards. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to catch up here.
A lot of these same questions that are, I got a small account. How do I get it up? How do I build it quickly? If you're new, you do not need to be trying to focus on making money. That you're not going to make it if you do that. You have to focus on how to trade, and the money will come as a result of that.
Yeah, I think the main thing to focus too is focus on your emotions. How to control your emotions during a trade should be your first and foremost thing, because when you do this, you've got to be a robot, not a Verde robot where you're posting news faster than fucking news comes out, which is still amazing to me. But you talk about a person that has a talent, that's a fucking talent. I'm still blown away by how quick he is with that. It's mind-boggling. But you've got to learn first and foremost how to control your emotions. If you're trading because you need the money, you shouldn't be trading. Your emotions are too skewed for you to be mechanical about this. If you can do this and say, yes, if I lose X, I can afford it and I can turn away and I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to punch a hole in my wall. I'm not going to break my computer or whatever. Then you're in a good place. But emotions are the first thing you've got to keep in check. After emotions, then we work on the patterning and the other stuff. And it's baby steps, as PJ said, baby steps to get over PDT. We've all gone through it. It's unless you've come into the game with more than 25, we've all gone through it. It is earning your stripes. Do I always agree with it? That the government's telling us, that this is what you have to do? No. But I also think it's a good safety belt to have on, because I think most folks wouldn't be here if PDT didn't exist. I think a lot of folks that are under it would definitely blow up. There's no question. As I go through this, for sure. What's that? I'm sorry, Nate, I lost you there.
I just meant it gives you so many learning lessons in different styles of trading, where everyone thinks, hey, if I get PDT, I'll be this excellent trader because I'd sell at the bottom sell at the top and buy at the bottom every day.
Yeah.
And then they fall back under PDT once they get over it because they're free to trade now.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Rocket.
Okay, can I add something to that real quick? Because I know a lot of people with the PDT, like they think once they get to 25K, they're going to make all this big money because they have a bigger account. And I see it all the time, and they end up blowing up. So don't think because you get there, you're out of the woods. You still have to have risk and reward all day long, every day.
Yep. No one hits 100% of their trades. I don't hit 100% of my trades, guys. I wish I did. But we don't. And the trick is when a trade goes against you, you have to have the sense to cut it as fast as possible because it went against your plan, and you have no emotion tied to that loss. You pull up your pants, say, I'm going to do this again, get up off the ground, and there's no emotion to it. You just kick back at it. And if there is emotion to it and you're really pissed off, the worst thing you can do is jump back into another trade. Go take a fucking walk, shut it down for the day. The market will always be here tomorrow. But if you let emotions go into the trade, you will not be here. Period. End of story. If I could pin that in the channel, I would. It should be your mantra more than anything else. Put it on your wall and remind yourself of it. Hammer Time, it was at 8:13 in the general channel. He posted the ABCD pattern. So guys, that is, learn the ABCD pattern for intraday trading. I mean, it's pull up a chart on a 5 or a 1 minute and you can go, holy shit, there's the ABCD pattern. It really is there. It's basically a form of Fibonacci retracement. And yes, why does it work like that? Human emotion, guys, human emotion. That is why ABCD patterns work. It's always about human emotion. Is trading your full-time career? I'm retired, so I guess. I mean, career, I don't have one anymore. So yeah, I'm retired, and trading is just fun, I guess. I don't know, man. It's just like, it's the thrill of the hunt. You know, it sucks when you're wrong. It is what it is. But when you're right, we celebrate and then we move on. Tomorrow's another day. Is there a reason I don't trade Canadian stocks? Because, Canadian bacon. We talked about that many times. It's not bacon. So, shame on Canada for calling it bacon. Yeah, I had another job. So X layer. Yeah, I did have another job at the time, and I learned to be consistent. So yeah.
The Twitch chat is asking, isn't Blue a Canadian stock? Bob was on that one. They're kind of calling you out there.
Yeah, no, Blue's a Canadian stock, but Blue's different. So, and Blue has done very well for us. So in general, you're right. I don't trade Canadian stocks, but you're correct. And I'm kidding, guys. I do trade Canadian stocks, and Blue has been fantastic. It has fit the bill to a T. 0.72 got into it. They've done 2 offerings since, and look where we're at today. The data was kind of, and everyone's like, well, why did you get into Blue? I've heard that in the past. Because the data was related to COVID, in that they had some issues with dropouts in the trial. The drug is, while it failed its secondary endpoint, if I remember off the top of my head correctly, it was still superior to Merck's drug. I think at some point it gets approved. I think there's a COVID angle to it, in that the COVID long haulers have all these lung issues and chronic cough. And I think there's a play for that drug at some point down the road. And I think theoretically they get bought out. But that's just my thesis from a long-term perspective. And that's why it's in an IRA. But yes, so I bashed Canada a little bit about their bacon. But yes, I do like their stocks here and there. All right, let's see what else. Question about COVID, zero fees, new traders have changed things. Yeah. So that's a cool from 3 years ago. Shit, dude. Not even 3 years ago. Look at a year and a half ago. Look at 2019. Yeah, I mean, shit's different. I mean, there's no question COVID's changed everything. In the Great Recession, things were changed then. How the market behaved and acted. So we go through these. It seems like every 10 years now we have these events that shift and shape the market and the landscape on how things are done. And so we have more people working from home. They're not in cubicles anymore, and they have the ability to do their jobs, not be stuck in an office and then commuting 2 to 3 hours per day, to and from work. and they're having the ability to trade. So has that helped the market in the things that as traders that we do? Yeah, 100%. There's more retail involved. And I talked about this, I think on the last talk, or maybe I talked about it in chat. I don't think any of the big guys out there, the big funds, expected such a sharp V-shaped recovery from the lows in March. I think they thought it was more of a dead cat bounce. And what happened was you had a lot of the big guys out there. They were left on the sidelines as retail just took it to them. And retail outperformed most of the big funds, outperformed the indexes. And so that's a direct relationship to COVID. There's no question. Did zero fees help that? Yeah, I pointedly believe the taking away of commissions definitely changed the behavior on how you scale in and out of trades. I mean, it's definitely changed it. Do I think that they could theoretically bring commissions back? I do. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Should they be $4.99 each way? No. But could they bring them back to rein this back in? Yeah, and it might be a mandate from the SEC that happens. So understand that we trade what's in front of us. We trade the environment that's in front of us, but always be prepared that things are going to change. Nothing's consistent. It won't be. And so we have to be adaptive to those changes, and they will be frustrating to all of us. But I've seen over 15 years, many changes in the market and many changes in the rules. Has it stopped me from what I'm doing? No, it hasn't. We just have to adapt and work around it to continue to be better on a daily basis. So that's a Lars 16. That's a really good question, man. Thanks for putting that up there. Also understand the market that we're in today is not normal. PJ has preached this. I preached this. Hughes talked about this. Ricky's talked about this. Rocket said this. I mean, everyone said this. Guys, what we're experiencing today is never in 15 years have I seen this. Will this go away? Yeah, 100%. There's no question. We'll get back to the days of, PJ and I were talking earlier of shit, man. The stock moved like 20%, and that's like the biggest mover of the day. We will eventually go back to that. Until then, we will continue to embrace what's in front of us, and we will do our damnedest to take advantage of the market before it turns. And then could it come back to this? Yeah, sure, 100%. But again, we'll just navigate what's in front of us and keep getting better.
Yeah, and it's like you're saying, we're not like predicting where the market's going to go in a month or next week. We are playing what's in front of us. So I think that's important because everyone seems to ask these like finite questions of what is exactly going to happen and tell me your prediction. And I don't know. I have no fucking clue, but I know what I'm going to do if anything happens. I'm just going to adjust my strategy and my plan based on what's coming, So that's what he's saying is trade what's in front of you. That's exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah. And this is also another reason why you don't go all in on a trade because what you perceive to be as current may not be. And so this is why you go with, tepid steps. Even I do tepid steps, guys. I'm not, by any means, I'm not perfect. And, but that's all part of the scaling in strategy. What style of trading is 4 a.m. trading access important for? Is it crucial to success? So this is from Turkish. So yeah, before Webull, I think the only 4 a.m. platform that I was aware of was Interactive Brokers. Was there anyone else out there was doing 4 a.m. or was it just IB? I think it was just IB. 4 a.m. trading's really changed shit, dude. Like, I wake up usually anywhere between 4:30 and 5 o'clock every day. And I'll just look at my phone and I see what's moved in, from 4 a.m. till 5. And I'm just like, what the hell has happened overnight? I don't remember shit moving like that. It's definitely changed the dynamic. It's a little frustrating for me. And I've talked to E-Trade and the folks that I know there. And I've asked them, why won't you navigate to a 4 a.m. model like Webull? One, they're not going to do anything before Schwab or anyone else does it. It's just how they operate. And now that Morgan Stanley owns them. God knows if they'll ever do anything anymore. The information I got from E-Trade and the folks that I know over there is just they feel that the 4 a.m. market is extremely manipulative and it's very hard to get clean fills. And they feel like the risk is for them, the risk is too great for the retail trader. That's their fluff and bullshit to the comment. I think what it is they just don't have anyone at the trading desk to manage the trades, and they feel like they can get their, if they're short a position and it really starts going at 4 a.m. and they allow access, it could really fuck their market makers up. I think that's what the real story is behind it. You have to kind of read in between the lines that they're talking about. Dab Rotus, I think is how you say this. I really struggle with cutting losses. I understand scaling in and out, but when a trade doesn't go as planned and dips under the trend line or the thought, I tend to cut. Then I notice that the trading floor keeps that same stock and setup. Why? So that's a good question. So I guess the question I have for you is, what are you looking at as a level of support? So for me on the 5-minute chart, I use the 9 and the 13 EMA. I have a 50 in there, 50 MA, just, I don't know why I still do, just because it's in there. I have VWAP. I also look at, if you look left, I always say look left on the 1 or the 5-minute chart and see, sometimes it'll break below those lines, but you can see a solid level line of support somewhere, on the bars. If you're not, for me, those are my levels of support. I always give some downside to those levels too, because what happens is a lot of folks will have a stop loss set at the 9 or the 13 EMA and it'll flush like a nickel below and then pop right back up. And so I don't want to get caught with my stop and their stop. So then it accelerates the move down. I like to be a little bit less than that for me. And it's just my style. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you. That way it sometimes will bounce right back up and then the trade works. Again, those EMAs, the 9 and the 13 and the VWAP, those should be your guides. Those are not absolutes on where you should have support levels. Don't ever do that, because you're going to get stopped out. If you have a support there with a stop, the market maker will stop you out there every single time. Always come in a little bit less than, below those numbers. And, if it's going to pop, it'll pop. If it doesn't, there's your loss. Move on. Go to the next one. No emotion. No emotion allowed. But give it some room. Solomon, this is the best Discord ever. Thank you, brother. We appreciate that. Any recommendations on how to build your own scanner? So, I think the thing to do is, I get a lot of folks, they want all my parameters, and regrettably, I don't share them with anyone. So. Those are proprietary to me. I worked very hard to build them. And as PJ said before, and I said, is that, just because it hits a scanner doesn't mean it's an auto buy. You've got to filter through the bullshit and look for the kind of the anomalies, as I call them, that hit. I know Trade Ideas has a bunch of preloaded ones. Look to see what they have as preloaded, and then just play with the parameters. If they have something set like a number like 50. If 50 doesn't look right on this one parameter, move it to like 45, move it to 55. See if you can filter it down to where it works for you against the other parameters. And you'll start, that's part of that, play with it. And as you paper trade through stuff and learn it, you'll start fine tuning it. And then you'll start, if you start seeing stuff more consistently, you're kind of on the right path. And again, the way that you see things on that scanner that you're building is the way that your eyeballs see it. If I were to look at your scanner, I may be like, dude, I don't see anything. It doesn't work for me. It's specific to you, and it should be specific to you. Strategy investing in my IRA, just long-term investments, stuff that pays dividends. That's kind of, again, that's my opinion. It's not professional financial advice. I think that's, if you really want an investing strategy in your IRA, I would recommend talking to a financial advisor. Do I use FinViz Paid? No, I do not. Do I follow volume in Fizzits? No, I do not. I follow volume on eTrade Pro in my platforms.
Also, I'm not trying to throw an advertisement in here, but for real, if you do want trade ideas, go in the trade ideas channel. I posted it in the trader chat. And if you use my referral link, I don't care if you don't use it. Just hit me up in the questions channel, and I'll send you a copy of custom scanners that I created, a whole layout. So that'll help you a lot get started and see, some scanners that other people have made that help.
That's awesome. So guys, take advantage of that if you're wanting to learn scanners, but also understand, just because it pings and it will ping doesn't mean it's a buy. If it was that easy, we would automate our scanners to do all our trading and go fuck around all day. But I guess we kind of fuck around all day anyway in Atlas. We just have fun. So it's all good. My main time frame on trading, I look at the daily chart, I look at the 15-minute and the 5-minute. In the pre-market, I will take my 5-minute chart and move it to 1 minute. Understand 1-minute charts, there's an enormous amount of fake outs. So if you're not experienced on a 1-minute chart, do not use a 1-minute chart. That takes time. A lot of IRA and Roth questions. I'm not the IRA or Roth guy. Those are the two other gentlemen on the phone, or the phone. See, I'm so tech savvy. I call it on the voice chat. Thank you.
Showing your age here, Bob.
I know. Is this a dial phone? Rotary.
It's vocal fax.
All right. Let's see what else. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about two last things here, and then by 9 o'clock I'm gonna tap out, guys. I've had a huge long day. Like 8:30 this morning, my time. Dude, I thought it was like 3 o'clock. I was so wiped out from the insanity in the pre-market. Yeah. I was like, what was going on? So how do you talk about stock cycles from A to B? Okay, so let's talk about grouping. So when I use the phrase grouping and I said, look for the A's and look for the C's and look for the O's and look for the S's, the reason I talk about it like that, it's real simple. So you have to look at human psychology and how humans behave. We group things. So when you look at a telephone number, speaking of phones, and it's 7 digits, we group the first 3 and then we group the last 4 to memorize it. That is how we are taught in elementary school and in kindergarten and preschool. We are taught to group. Our brains now are wired like that. And so when you see the O stocks, when this was going on in December, I said, hey guys, look for the O's. One, I know this because of 15 years of trading and how these things work. But human nature will then, if one O runs for no apparent reason or it did have news, folks then will migrate to the other O stock that shares a same relative chart that hasn't gone yet. So then the other thing I talked about today was the map. And folks were like, what does he fucking mean by the map? So for example, CLSN went bonkers the last few days. And like we were swing along from December, fucking killer swing trade if you held on to it. I sold it a little bit early and got back into it. And Jesus, if it didn't sell it early, holy hell, on the first chunk that I had. But the point being is that CLCN laid out a map. Now, again, CLCN, and then we'll look at ADTX. I understand we're not grouping the A's, but we were grouping now the pattern. Once we blew through all the alphabet groupings, the A's, the O's, the S's, the T's, the whatever, we weren't left with much in January to start the year. Like we went through almost every one of the bottom stocks in December. We were hitting them out of the park. It was fucking fun. It was fantastic. It was an incredible, as I call it, the December to remember. So now what we were left with was like CLSN, ADTX. We were left with, what was the other ones that ran today? I'm drawing a blank now because I'm freaking tired. But they all share a same chart pattern on the daily chart. And so when you look at how these guys went, or how they went today, they all share the same daily pattern. So CLSN provided a roadmap on behavior of the stock. Now, remember, we're human beings. We look at grouping. This is how we're talked about from human taught. This is human psychology. Now, we also look at images, and the image on CLSN had a certain pattern to it on the daily. We saw this move a little bit with ADTX, okay? And so this is what I talk about mapping. If you have, and we talk about, it's not really a sympathy play, but it's a mapping on a daily chart. And so the path had been laid, and now we look for behavior in similar daily charts, and does the same pattern happen as it did with CLSN? And we saw that today, guys. It was pretty freaking cool, man. Pretty cool. And again, it's practice. You see it. You can't. I'm sorry, CRBP. I'm totally drawing a blank on it today. Now I just remembered. CRBP had the same pattern on the daily chart as CLSN. So we had a map. We followed the same guide, and it kind of worked to a T. Yes, did it pull back in the after hours? Yeah. Will we see a continuation on that trade, probably moving forward into the catalyst events over the next few weeks? 100%. There's no doubt in my mind that it will at some point repeat and mimic to some degree how CLSN worked. So a little long-winded on that explanation, but I really am trying to teach you guys on how to look for grouping and then certain chart patterns when they're available to you. All right. Let's see if I can get one or two more. I hope that explanation helped. So I'm going to try to jump to the end of the channel here. Anyone else got anything to add while I'm jumping into one or two more questions? Essentially, any trades against the dollar? No, dude, I don't do Forex. I tried doing that shit. Years ago. I was waking up at all crazy hours of the night trying to trade Forex. That was not my jam. Spaghetti code. I'm interested in your accumulation scanner. Any tips on building my own in terms of must-haves? You want to look at, obviously, volume. You want to look at volume against like a 10-day average. Float is somewhat important. It's not an end-all be-all in this market by any means. In a market in 2019, I think float was much more important than it is today. You want to look at, I think, your percentage change. Those are kind of some areas to start your building of an accumulation scanner. And again, how you build it is specific to you, and how your eyes see it are specific to you and never specific to someone else. And that's also part of the reason why I don't share it, because you guys may not see the same things I do, and you guys might buy every single ping that comes across. And guess what? If you do that, you're going to blow up. As PJ said, you got to be able to filter through the excess bullshit to see where the hidden gems are in there. And do you miss it? Some stuff? Oh yeah, dude, I miss stuff all the time. But do I see stuff? Absolutely, 100%. All right, let's grab one more, and then I'm going to tap out. How do you increase size as you grow as a trader? Is it a fixed percentage of your account? I think that's specific to you being the hacker. I think that's. I don't know how much capital you have in your account. I know how much I have and what I'm comfortable with, but that's kind of a personal question. It might be a dollar point that you're saying, "Hey, dude, I made $500 today. I'm good." And there's nothing wrong with that. Be happy with it. Don't FOMO yourself because other folks are showing bigger gains. If that's a huge gain for you mentally, it may not be a big percentage gain for you on your account. Then cool, great, man. You hit a daily goal. Set a goal. I mean, Hugh sets goals. I know that, or you used to.
Yeah, I mean, I think to go on top of that, I mean, I know one thing I really put out there is how I go for 1% a day, and the big thing is, just a year ago that would be 50% a day with the same amount.
Right.
So I mean, it's all about compounding.
Yeah.
I think, and then just being happy with your gains again, not FOMO.
Yeah, I mean, dude, not every day is going to be rock and roll and in diamonds. I mean, shit, you might have some days where, you still are green on the day. Be happy with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, compounding, we talked about that ad nauseum. Compounding is, dude, the more you leave in that account to build off of, the better you're going to be in the long term. It's when you're drawing out against your account to buy stupid shit. And I always encourage you to buy stupid shit. Please enjoy your gains. Always enjoy your gains. Don't choke yourself of not enjoying what you're busting your ass to make. But also don't go spend it all either and start from zero. That's just not wise in my book, but that's how I live my life. It's how you live yours. But we talk about compounding. It's the easiest way to grow an account and to afford you yourself or your family, some financial freedoms that you may not normally have. So anyway, that's it. I'll leave it to my other co-hosts to see if they have anything to add to the conversation.
I think you pretty much nailed it.
Cool. I appreciate it. Well, guys, I know that this has been recorded. I hope that this educational entertainment was good for you all, and always ask questions. I try my best to answer them during the market hour, but it can be a little bit of a challenge. But I do try to get back to people as often as I can. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And we will catch each other tomorrow morning. And let's close out the week strong so we can have a kick-ass week. I will talk to you guys.
Thanks for allowing me to do this on my Twitch. I had around 750 more viewers than I've ever had before. I had 100 instead of my regular 50.
So is that, I don't know, is that a good thing? Bad thing? I have no idea. I don't even know what Twitch is.
Well, I mean, no, it's a live streaming website, but no, this was huge. I got a lot of subscribers off of this, and that's straight moolah for me, baby.
Oh my God.
Dan, you're actually really coordinated. I've been watching this whole time.
Oh my God. That's fucking hysterical.
Well, thank you for doing this again.
Yeah, you don't do anything else.
We just lost everyone.
We lost you. Classic.
All right, guys, I'm jumping. So thanks again for having me and let me jump on with you guys. We will talk tomorrow. Enjoy your evening, and I will see you bright and early.
Bye, Bob.
See you then. Later.